allies in the true sense of the word. Spain, a NATO ally and a country hosting some of our key military bases, has refused to allow our aircraft to use the bases at Rota and Marone for operations related to the strikes on Iran. As a result, several U.S. military aircraft had to leave those bases after Madrid said they could not be used for that campaign. Here's the part nobody's talking about. For decades, American military power in the Middle East has depended on a network of allied bases stretching across Europe and NATO countries. But when a major ally suddenly says no, it reveals something bigger. This conflict does not have the same level of international backing that many previous U.S. operations had. Spain even criticized the airstrikes as unilateral and lacking international legal justification. If this trend continues, the consequences are easy to imagine. Every military operation becomes harder, fewer bases, longer supply routes, and more pressure placed directly on our own forces and logistics. Now, the counter-argument is also fair. Every sovereign nation has the right to decide how its territory is used, especially when a conflict risks escalating into a broader regional war. But the real question is this. If even NATO allies begin limiting how we can operate from their territory, does that mean this conflict is becoming increasingly difficult for our partners to openly support? Do we actually...
Shalom, shalom. We're here with another lesson. So before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechahakwadash, to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. I'd like to give double honor. Shalom to the 144,000, to the 1/3, to the hopeful elect. Shalom. Here with another lesson. I'm going to call Babylon Confederacy. Babylon Confederacy with the nations is slowly ending. And as you see in this video, this guy is talking about how Spain doesn't want Babylon, aka America, to use their military bases anymore. And if you've been watching the news, you know Trump said whether they let them use it or not, we'll just take it. Basically, like, look, you better let us use it or we're just going to take it. But as this man is saying, America no longer has any. He asked the question, does America have any more allies? And with DJ Donald Trump being at the helm, that's slowly but surely answering itself into a big fat no. Because America has been, in the past 4-5 months, maybe longer, slowly alienating themselves from their allied nations. From the allied nations, from NATO and the EU. Especially with Trump at the helm, saying all kind of crazy things about the other EU nations in defense of the state of Israel. I mean, when they were first come out that Israel was committing a genocide over there in Gaza, and about 3 of the NATO nations condemned Israel for what they were doing. I remember Trump coming out and defending Israel, saying them nations was trash and they're wrong for calling out the Jews on their BS and all other kind of things. He put tariffs on them and all that kind of junk. But we're starting to see those 10 horns starting to hate that whore. That this Confederacy, this alliance, is slowly but surely breaking apart. And it's really due to Yahweh Bashim Hawashai putting the spirit on Trump to come at these nations the way they are. Remember, Yahweh Shai said, think not that I come to send peace. No, I come to bring a sword. And he also bringing division. So not only is he going to bring a sword to the enemies of Yasha Allah, but also he's bringing division among the enemies themselves. So we're starting to see these horns reject helping that whore in her campaigns against other countries. And this is just the beginning, because we know ultimately those nations are also going to turn on the whore. That's why we're going to start here. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 16 and 17. And the 10 horns which thou saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. And we're starting to see that. And that's what's going on with Spain. It's really that they just don't like Babylon the Great. So they understand who the true rulers of Babylon is. The true rulers of America, the ones behind the scene that's controlling everything, they understand that it's Israel. And they see that America will not upheld any of the treaties that they signed for the NATO nation if it come into conflict with what Israel want. And Israel want this war in Iran. So these countries like Spain, like, look, if you want to go war with them people, that's fine, but that's on you. We're not helping. We're staying out of this because your war with them is effing up our economy. So we're seeing those 10 horns hate that whore because the whore is bringing about destabilization to the whole world. And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Yeah, and that's going to come in the end when those same NATO nations, the same EU nation that America had treaties and agreement with, are ultimately going to help Russia, Iran, China, and the rest of the countries that hate America and hate Israel, help burn them down to the ground with the thermonuclear fire. Verse 17, for Yahweh had put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdoms unto the beast, until the word of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. And we're starting to see that the word of Yahweh by Shem Shai is starting to be fulfilled. So they no longer want to give their kingdoms unto the whore, unto this beast. So they're starting to break apart from it. They're starting to tell America to its face that, no, we're not going to help you with this. No, we're not going to do what the JOOs tell us to do. We actually going to do things our way now. Because Yahweh by Shem Shai is pulling that cover from off of their faces. So now they can truly see what Babylon is truly like and who really run this place. So they're really displeased with Babylon and how things are going. That's why we're going here. Obadiah 1, verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Yeah. Yahweh by Shem Shai let Esau Edom know that they are greatly despised, especially the chief city of Edom, which is America. They have become greatly despised by the other heathens. That's why they don't want to deal with them or even help them. Because America has really shot themselves in the foot, having Trump as their leader, and him going after the other nations, like I said, putting tariffs on his allies, talking recklessly towards them, threatening them, basically saying he'll take what he wants, like he tried to take Greenland. So these NATO nations are really seeing, like, man, you know what? Them Americans real deal ain't right, especially Donald Trump. And we see who they take orders from. So we can't even bargain with them because we also know he's just going to run right back to his masters like a dog with his tail between his legs, looking for scrap and not even be able to talk to them in a serious way to uphold the treaty that helped form the NATO nation. All right? We're going to skip down to 7. And all the men of thy Confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevail against thee. And they that eat thy bread laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding it. Yeah. And we're watching that Confederacy, the EU, the NATO nation, starting to break apart. We're seeing those nations are worried more about themselves now than about the EU and NATO than back in America, because they understand we're not all equal in this thing. America real deal feel like it's better than everybody, and we all need them. No, you need us. You can't have a war across the water without our help, and that's what we're seeing Spain doing. Spain is literally telling, okay, if you that bad as you say you are, then fight this war without our help. So the men of that Confederacy are starting to turn against them. Why? Because they greatly despise them. But the scripture said this would happen. The least of the flock would draw them out. And they done draw Babylon out into a war, which the other EU and NATO nations never wanted. But those nations also seen that it is Israel the one that drew them out. That they real deal are taking, how shall I put it, orders from Israel. So they no longer fight or plan or move like their own sovereign nation. They understand who the true king of America really is. And with them already having problems with Israel, you think they want to follow Babylon anymore? No. They despise them. So they're like, man, these people over here committing all kind of wicked acts, and y'all are back them. But want to run around here like y'all the moral police? So these nations that were confederate with Babylon is now starting to turn on them. So it won't be any more help. It won't be any more friendship. And like it says in the Revelation 17, ultimately they're gonna join in the end to burn this whore with fire. That's why it says here in Obadiah 1:7 that they're gonna eventually deceive Babylon, then go to war with her. They're setting that trap because they're starting to see with Trump being in that White House, it's either us or them. And you know how everybody think, I'm gonna pick me over anyone else. So it's gonna come a time when those nations are gonna pull up for the destruction of America, and America is just gonna be dumbfounded, like, man, I thought we were friends. I thought we were allies. No, you're no longer friends. That Confederacy that you had, it no longer stands. I'm gonna get that word Confederacy right quick in the Google overview. A league or alliance, especially a Confederate state. Let's see, get a little bit more on that. Let's see, what is Confederation in simple terms? A loose group of states where a state maintain more power than a national government. But this, they're using this more in a country sense. So these nations who are allied with America no longer want to be allies with them, especially when they consider who's the one who pulling the strings behind the scene. So they're no longer going to help America or Israel with their campaign against Iran, which is ultimately going to leave them out. All right. This Jeremiah 49:10. But I had made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. And I brought this out because the Lord has made America and Israel bare to the whole world about what their agendas are, who they really are, and the fact that they can't be trusted. They can't be trusted. So these nations are starting to see that and starting to move accordingly. Why? Because Yahweh Shema Shah took those blinders off of them. They was only going to be there for them for a certain amount of time. So that time was more up. So these nations are waking up from the wine of Babylon, these doctrines that the doctrine that Babylon pushed, and they starting to see, you know what, this bitch real deal is ugly. I don't know how I went home with her. Basically meaning they don't know how they came in league with Babylon. And this was nothing that was really hidden. Babylon, since its inception, had always broken its treaties, its deals. I mean, look what they did to the northern kingdom, to Gad, Reuben, Issachar, all those people. All our people, Salakia, of the 10 tribes. And not just them, to the French, to the, matter of fact, to the Spanish back then. Babylon has never dealt righteously with anyone since its creation. But now, Yahweh Shem Shai has put a man into office who's terrible at lying, who's real boisterous, who's quick to show his hand before it's even played. So now they can no longer hide themselves. They can no longer hide who they are. They can no longer hide what they want to do, because Yahweh Shem Shai has exposed them to the whole world. And with these nations watching, they understand that, man, we can't be cool with these people because we would never seen us equal in their eyes. And with that understanding, they're starting to move like, hey, bro, ain't no point of coming over here asking us for help because we ain't got nothing for you. And that's the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, that all this is going on, that Babylon is being made bare, that Esau is being made bare, that all the secret things that they was known, that they was hiding, is being brought out to the public and ultimately to the world at large. So Yahweh Shem Shai has these other nations breaking free of Babylon. Remember, these nations are mad. They're gone mad behind the doctrines, behind the things that Babylon had pushed upon them and done to them. So now they're in a state where they're no longer going to get them help. They're no longer going to be here for Babylon the Great. And we're going to finish out here in the Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. And Babylon has finally reached that bound. Esau has finally reached that bound that Yahweh Shem Shai has for him. And as he quickly come up to that wall before he that he's gonna smash into. Why? Because Yahweh Shem Shai said that's enough. Now we're starting to see Babylon get routed by Iran. They're getting exposed for this on a worldwide level like never before, of just being whooped. I mean, they use their media machine, but that don't really work. Especially when you got social media and the whole world can see that you're losing. That you're a loser. That Iran is putting them paws on you, so to speak. That they giving you hell, and they haven't even brought out their best stuff. I mean, y'all literally jumping Iran and losing. How do you jump somebody and lose, man? That should play in your mind. We jumping them, and we still losing. That's because Yahweh Shem Shai is exposing you. He's making you bear all the little secret things that you used to hide and be able to get away with. You can't anymore. Why? Because you're getting close to those bounds that he has set for you. You was never meant to be the ruler of the world forever. Only for a short period of time. And that time also up. Remember, every kingdom have a 250-year limit that they can't go past. And this summer, as everyone know, that America will be hitting that 250 year. Thus, they can't pass it. That bound has already been set by Yahweh Shem Shai for every nation except Israel. Because once we come into the kingdom of heaven, we're going to rule forever. So we ain't worried about that. But I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Shalom.